The Axios article even included a condemnation of the American tradition of watching football. You shouldn't watch sports ball. It's gay. Claudine Gay, to be specific. It's totally Claudine Gay to watch football on Thanksgiving. Until the 1950s, many Black Americans were barred from playing college football or attending games in non-segregated settings. So let's re-say what actually happened so that that's not coming out of the mouth of an anti-white pig. Let's re-say what actually happened. In other words, white people invented a game called football. White people then built football fields. We then thought up all the rules. We then built the stadiums for white people to come watch white people play a game. We made the footballs. We created the uprights. We painted and drew on the ground. We built this all. And then some white people said, you know what? The Black people want to play football too. We should build them a league of their own. Wouldn't that be nice? And other white people said, yeah, that would be nice. They should be allowed to play our game as well. So white people went out. This is what really happened. Football did not fall from the fucking sky. The stadium, the field, the uprights, the game, the ball itself, the rules didn't fall from the sky. And then white people went and stole it from the rest of humanity and then said to Black people, you can't play. That's asinine. I was even a kid in school saying, whoa, didn't we invent it? Didn't we build it? What do you mean we just barred them? What actually happened was, out of the goodness of our heart, we created a field for them to play on. But I got to be careful, of course, because YouTube is at the door. So maybe I'm wrong about the history, since white people don't run YouTube for the benefit of white people. White people control nothing for the benefit of white people. So anyhow, Black people started playing football as well. And where did they get things like the field and the rules and the stadium and the equipment and everything? Well, I guess it just fell out of heaven. And then white people said, well, you know what? Some years went by and white people said, you know what? We should just let them play with us. And what then happened? Incrementally, non-white people, specifically Black, were allowed to start playing the game with us. What do you mean white people just didn't turn over the entire thing to Blacks? How perfectly evil of you, Lucifers. How perfectly evil. You didn't just give it all over immediately. You mean you allowed them to incrementally begin to, so that we were still comfortable in a stadium and a house and a game and et cetera that we created. We allowed them to begin to participate. And then we allowed some more of them. And then we allowed some more of them. And then you saw unscrupulous anti-whiteism in some of the white coaches and some of the white owners, because they said, well, you know what? This Black guy over here is a damn good athlete. I'd rather have him on my team than one of the white guys. So I'll throw him out. Oh boy, where did the anti-whiteism come from? And who was the first victim? The white guy who didn't get to play the game anymore because the white owner, selfishly individualistic jerk, decided he was going to replace him, white erase him, and bring in a Black athlete. Now we're at the point where the game is 80% Black or what have you, and this coaching staff and everything, and they have got programs in place to further white erase, and it's been this way for many, many decades. And the anti-whites at Axios say it is sacrilegious, it is awful, it is evil for white people to watch football on Thanksgiving. Because, I mean, what a surprise. We're breathing, so it's evil of us. Evil for white people to watch football on Thanksgiving because they invented this game and Black people weren't playing it at first. And then they slowly allowed Black people to participate. They built Black people their own fields and they allowed them to play. And they allowed them to play on the fields more specifically that white people made for ourselves. But when we weren't having a game, and that's not to say that there weren't some entrepreneurial Black people out there who saw the game being played by white people and thought, you know what? We should have football for us too. And then went out and endeavored to build those environments where they were allowed. They were allowed in our civilization. We've looked back into the past, way deep into the past. Remember in California where they were paying black families like 17 generations later for the businesses they owned in California? Way back in the day, the resort. Wait a second. I thought all the black people were forced to live like underground. And the only time they were allowed to come out and see the light is to worship us. But now you tell me that they owned a resort, and there was a black family that owned a resort, several that owned a resort and other businesses in California. And now their descendants have to be paid because the state used its power to take some of that property for the use of the state, eminent domain, which it does to white people all the time. But the black people, since we have anti-whiteism, they're going to get paid for it many generations, millions of dollars later. Just had to clear that up for you. The outlet wants its turkey and to eat it too, simultaneously disputing the traditional Thanksgiving narrative that starving pilgrims who landed on present-day Plymouth Rock, Massachusetts, got needed help from the friendly Wampanoag members while attacking conservatives who, so there you have it. There is Breitbart's. Is that not exactly what I said? There you have Israel First Breitbart's description of what happened for the pilgrims. They were needy, they were starving, they were dying. And then the wonderful, peaceful, winged cherub American Indians showed up to feed them and teach them how to hunt and to grow food. So, I mean, which anti-white do you want? These are your options in the anti-white West. The report says conservatives like the late Rush Limbaugh attacked what they called revisionist histories of Thanksgiving. When, like Rush Limbaugh's anti-white description, that's the history. His anti-white history of Thanksgiving is the way it should be. The white people were pathetic losers that were saved by the American Indians. Now get on board, conservatives. And the dismissing anything challenging the myth. Before he died in 21, Limbaugh falsely claimed American Indians had little, if anything, to do with the prosperity. Well, boy, I'm surprised he bothered to say that. Good on him. Because the Breitbart conservatives of today, they're good with the starving, pathetic white people saved by American Indians.